Dynasty Kings, football by the numbers. Ain't nothing prehistoric about it. It's the fantasy land before time, man. You dig?
And we talking about them analytics.
Yeah, I dig it.
You know them digits, we fit it inside ourselves. But thinking outside of the box when we did it, outside prevails. We got 8 inside of the box, but we finished. Plenty to tell, so go ahead and plug in the pot and just listen. It's the Dynasty. Velociraptors it takes, dilapidated in a way. Man, it's a rap, no debate. Hey. Breaking it down with a dynasty. Often reside with the pylons be. Often we talking about dynasty. Rocking with read at the times you'll see. All of the pocket online on me. Too much subjective is not for me. It's not for me. I'm rocking with the dynasty. Dynasty. Locking the lineup and I don't need filming the fables cause finally I got all the facts, no anomaly. Yeah, let's get it. Y'all reach as T-Rex at best. And I don't mean to go flex. I'm a dinosaurus to death. Yeah.
Look, if you dino, you know. Welcome to the Dynasty Kings Fantasy Football Podcast. Jake and Mike, let's ride.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Dynasty Kings. I'm Jake, and with me is Mike. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm okay, man. I'm all right. Listen to a lot of Juice WRLD lately, so a little more sad than I should be.
Dude, I don't listen to any Juice WRLD. Also, that's the first time I've heard that intro live. Shout out to FF Man Bun. That was phenomenal. Love it. He does great work over there. So if you guys need any type of audio, give that man a shout out or holler at him. He does great work. That's FF Man Bun. Gabe Peloton. Is that his last name? Gabe something.
I can't tell you.
It's all right. It's on his Twitter. You can find him. So you said you're doing pretty good. Okay. A little down because of Juice WRLD. A little technical.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in a little trouble here.
You watch a game last night?
Bits of it.
Oh my goodness!
I knew you could cover it because you're a Titans fan.
Yeah, of course I can. Woo! I don't know how in depth I want to get, but needless to say, it was a great game. If you watched it, you already know I'm a big Titans fan, so very excited. A lot of people love to disrespect the Titans. And we beat a good team, so I'm excited. All right, Mike, so let's jump right in. So this is going to be a Week 6 recap as well as Week 7 free agent waiver wire, as well as we're going to talk about Dynasty buys. So we're about halfway, not quite halfway, but approaching halfway through the season. So probably an appropriate time to talk about Dynasty buys. Who do you want to touch on first, Mike?
Yeah, let's touch on Allen Robinson right now. So he's a free agent going into next year. I'm confident now. I'm confident that nobody has confidence in Allen Robinson anymore this season. I think he's droppable in redraft leagues. You won't because it's the name, but he really is droppable at this point. But he goes to a new team next year. So the question is, like, this is an actual dip. And now as a fantasy manager, we have to decide if this is actually a buy or a sell. If we're super concerned for his career at this point, or we actually believe he'll bounce back with a better quarterback next year.
So he's a free agent heading into next year?
Correct.
Nice. So, and how old is he?
28.
28, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So he's got roughly 3 full seasons. Well, typically the cliff starts around 31 for wide receivers.
Right.
Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. I don't know how I feel about it. Allen Robinson's had such a good career, but now we're seeing what he's doing with Justin Fields, and I have watched plenty of Bears, and I've seen that he was open, and Fields just isn't getting him the ball. Same with Dalton. So it seems as though it's one of those cases where it's not necessarily a lack of talent or a decline in talent, but a lack of opportunity because he's not getting any targets. Well, he's obviously getting targets, but fewer than last year, and targets were make him valuable, any receiver valuable, really. So if he's not getting the chance, he's not going to succeed. I don't know that I want to buy him, though. At 28, he's having his first down year. It's not a guy that I necessarily want to buy.
Yeah, if I'm the owner, like let's say I'm the manager that has Allen Robinson. If someone approached me with a trade, I don't think I would do that for less than a first, right? Like, there's no way. Like, with that name, there's no way you sell him for less than a first.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think
I'm with you. I think on tape he looks good so far. It's just like all the variables that change don't have to do with his actual physical self or his play. It's all outside circumstances, at least to our knowledge.
right.
So I still believe in the player, but as a manager, I don't think I'm selling for a first.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
For less than a first.
So I don't think I'm buying them unless I have a ton of draft picks and I have a couple extra seconds, and then maybe I'll package 2 seconds. But I have to have a lot of draft capital to go after him. I just think there's other guys that I'd rather buy who are younger and have already produced at a younger age. Not that Allen Robinson's not good.
Maybe flip him for like a Jerry Jeudy, maybe.
I don't think I'm doing that. I think I'm hanging on to Jerry Jeudy there. I really don't think I would trade Jerry Jeudy for Allen Robinson at this point.
Okay.
That's even coming off of Jerry Jeudy coming off of an injury.
Right.
That was season ending, correct? Or is he coming back?
Oh, he's coming back. They said 50% chance he plays this week.
Right.
I don't think it's happening, but I'm counting on him for week 8.
Right. I saw that, and I saw that it was people were discussing whether this can impact Cortland's value. Cortland's been looking pretty good.
Yeah,
Lots of air yards.
I actually want to roll into our next one here. I want to get in
Sure.
like the hard buys first, and our next one actually happens to be Cortland Sutton. He's also a free agent after this year. He's on the market. What do you think? He's profiled as an alpha. He broke out a year ago.
I wish I knew all these guys' ages off the top of my head. That definitely plays a role. In Dynasty, I want to know how old the guy is. But he's he's on his first contract still, right? So he can't be.
Correct.
So he's got to be 26 maybe, tops, hopefully.
I'll get you the answer in a sec.
Okay. Well, if he's 26, 27, and the price is right, that is a guy that I'm actually interested in buying. He's been playing with 26. So he's been playing with very mediocre quarterbacks. His first contract. Never been a Luck fan. Never been a – wait, who was he with his first year? Or when was Manning's last year? It's been too long, right? Manning didn't play with him.
He broke out with Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. Okay, yep. Not interested in Drew Lock. I think Teddy's disrespected, but I don't think Teddy by any means is elite. And I definitely would like to see him in a different system who perhaps throws the ball more or plans that would like to throw the ball more.
Yeah, so he's wide receiver 20 on the year so far. He's got 3 games that I would consider a bust, and then he has 3 games that he absolutely showed out in.
Yep, he's definitely the boomer bust type. But his booms make it so worth it. He's just going off when he goes off. So I do
as an alpha too.
Yeah, I like Cortland a lot. In fact, I have him on a few teams, and you're going to have to buy him after one of his off weeks for sure because no one's going to sell him coming off of a big game like that, especially next year if he lands in the right situation. That's a really good one, actually. I think he's going to get paid, and he's not going to have to compete with Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant. Like, those guys are all great pass catchers. That's a very crowded receiver core there. So, yeah, I actually like that one a lot, and I'm glad you brought him up.
What do you think draft capital-wise? You think he's also worth a first?
I'd give a first for him, late first. I don't want to give – I'm stingy. I don't like giving an early first. Right. Just because I believe that I can draft a stud. And I like Cortland, and I think he's very good, but I don't think he's a stud, top-tier type receiver. So
just to put a little comparison, so this year I think Rashad Bateman, Terrence Marshall were late first rounds for most drafts in single QB. Would you hand over Terrence Marshall for a Cortland Sutton?
Now, yeah. I don't know at the beginning of the season that I would have.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I definitely do that now.
I think he's worth – I would try to get away with 2 seconds, a second and third, but I do think he's also worth a late first, yeah.
Yeah. I would agree.
Jerry Jeudy comes back. I'd probably wait till Jeudy probably is going to take a lot of targets away from Cortland Sutton, and then I'd try to move in on Cortland Sutton. But, that's with the expectation that he goes somewhere else. So, if you want to, feed off the fear that he's going to go back to Denver, don't know their quarterback situation next year because Teddy B is also on a 1-year contract. So, that's a really big dice roll.
Well, I don't think it is because I think they're so confident with the receivers that they're not going to pay him. I believe that, and even if they were to draft somebody, and that's in my eyes, that's a way you create leverage. You say, look, you don't know who their quarterback's going to be next year. Do you really want to deal with Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock again? And knowing most likely he's not going to be there next year. So in my eyes, that's a way that you actually create that leverage and can get him for cheaper.
Yeah. Want to roll into the next one?
Sure.
Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, 100% agree there.
Yeah, so he was a big all-season hype train, 100%. Everyone is in on him. I'm a really big fan of Matt Harmon's work, and in his reception perception model was really highlighting Brandon Ayuk and his route running ability, his ability against man coverage. Like, all the signals were there for Brandon Ayuk to just be a stud, take a step forward, except for like a new quarterback change. What do you think, Jason?
So
your thoughts?
it's really interesting. I have 3 guys on this list that kind of classify similarly. And I say that because 3 guys that I have listed as a dynasty buy had incredible rookie seasons. All 3 of these players have regressed in year 2. And that is not normal. That is very odd. But also, let's keep in mind that last year was a phenomenal and the year itself was an outlier for how productive the rookies were.
Absolutely.
So it's not totally surprising, but it's also pretty surprising. If you look at the data, you expect these players to improve. But if you analyze each situation individually, it kind of makes sense. I don't think Trey Lance is an elite passer, and so now with that, you've got a healthy Debo, healthy George Kittle, and so
George Kittle's on the IR actually.
Previously. So
Okay.
When did he go on IR? Last week?
Yes, I
Right.
believe so.
So he's now has a greater opportunity, in my opinion, to see some more targets. But prior to this prior week and the week before, is just fighting for targets when last year he didn't have to. With that said, Brandon Ayuk was wide receiver 33 in year 1. Year 1 of the NFL. I don't think players get worse in year 2. I don't think that's normal. I think we've seen that Kyle Shanahan is a nut. I think most of us believe that. And so I'm buying him because he's cheap. And I don't know what Kyle Shanahan's going to do with him this year. I hope he has a better year. But for example, I just traded Rondale Moore for Ayuk in a late first, and I loved it. I'll take the Ayuk in late first all day.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it's just still my concern with Ayuk, right? So his snap counts the last like 3 games, right? 71, 67, and 86%. So like that's fine. That's not really what I want to see. The 86 is what I want to see, but that's good. The targets though are 4, 3, and 6.
Yeah, and that's the concern. But do you think that changes? Do you think they figure out a way to? The way I see it, you're going to get your playmakers the ball, and 49ers don't look great. Like Debo looks great, but that's about it. So
Yeah,
it's like
he does.
you think that this team's going to figure it out, and I have faith that they will. I think it's a surprisingly slow start that's kind of drug out longer than most people expect. But I think Brandon Ayuk does improve this year.
I don't think it'll happen this year. So maybe the next year, and then your confidence has to come from if you think Trey Lance is going to take a step up, because Ayuk is stuck with this team for I think the next 3 years minimum.
Right.
And so Trey Lance is his quarterback after this year, guaranteed. And we've only seen 1 game with Trey Lance. It was 29 attempts, and I want to say 15 completions for like 192 and a touchdown.
Yeah, not great. But he's also that was what, game 2?
No, last week against Arizona.
But I
Or
mean
2 weeks ago.
his second game. He's only played 2 games, right?
But that's his first start. That's like
Right. And so this is a rookie. Everyone loves to just jump the gun on rookies and start to hate on it. I don't think Trey Lance is an elite passer, but I think he'll improve without a doubt.
Yeah, he's got the arm strength. He's just So let me ask you this. I'm gonna give you a scenario, right? You're a rebuilding team. You're not doing so hot right now. Somebody offers you Ayuk for your 2024 first. So you don't know.
First.
Yeah, so you don't know how you're gonna do in 2 years. Well, 3 years, I guess. 3 years.
Rebuilding. It depends on my depth. It really depends on my depth.
Let's say you don't have depth. Let's say it's just not there.
And my starters are what? Old or young?
They're young. Let's say they're DK Metcalf and Jerry Jeudy.
Probably not.
You don't
Probably
think
gonna
so?
hold off on that. No, just because I'm not competing anyways. So why not just wait and see? I also have a lot of faith that I can acquire good players off of waiver wire through trades. So I don't want to rush and jump the gun, try and get a player 3 years prior to a draft pick.
Yeah.
Unless I'm trying to compete now.
Here's the data sticking out in my head. Again, Matt Harmon, big fan of him. Is that he compares Ayuk's heavily, like his history heavily to like Tyler Lockett, who took off his freshman year and then kind of became a shadow his sophomore year because of usage reasons, and then he kind of took back off in his third season.
Yeah,
So
the talent's there. I feel fine about it.
if you like thought like let's say you think that Ayuk will be, let's say, equivalent to like Tyler Lockett's like career, you think that's worth like a late first?
Oh yeah, Lockett's been great, man. I feel like Lockett's also one of the most disrespected, consistently productive players in the league.
He's boomer bust. It's like hard to feel good starting him. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I gonna get 30 points or am I gonna get 3?
But he's like finishing top 24 every year. That's a wide receiver too. That's good.
Weird.
Yeah.
I think last year though he was like wide receiver 1 because of the first 3 weeks, and then like come like week 9, everyone else caught up.
Well, that was also partly due to Russell. Russell had, because I started Russell in our league and he was elite for 6 weeks, and then it just
he did that.
Just
shit
awful.
He did that 2 years in a row where he like starts off high. Yeah, so I don't know, dude. I think I'm leaning towards paying that 2024 first because, you know, like my team has like Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, DK Metcalf, Jerry Jeudy. Like that's my core. That I think Ayuk would be a great wide receiver 3 if he does bounce back. And I don't think there's reasons, just like Allen Robinson, where it's more the quarterback's the question. I don't really think Ayuk's play is the question.
So
I think it's more the scenario.
If you don't think Ayuk's producing this year, why even bother trading for him this year? Why not wait till next year?
Probably because the price is down low now, and it's like a wash. So it's like I don't want to risk the price going up. If I really believe in him, I don't want to.
I think a full season of bad Brandon Ayuk is going to make him cheaper than he is currently. Because there's still guys like me who think there's a chance he's going to bounce back. And I'm not saying wide receiver 33, but I think Kyle Shanahan, while he's making some bizarre decisions, I think he knows Brandon Ayuk's a playmaker. I think he would be silly to not try and get him back and try and get him involved. And they just come off a bye week, so I think this week will be pretty telling too to figure out if they do make those offensive changes and start scheming more Brandon Ayuk.
And Kittle's out too, so I mean, there's 3 mouths to feed there. I think it's, you know, we talk about it. One of them has to starve. It was Ayuk for the start, but now it looks like the injuries are hitting George Kittle. Deebo Samuel has a very extensive history of injuries throughout high school, college, and pros. So maybe Ayuk will shine this year. I don't know, man. I think I'm paying the first.
Dude, I don't think I am, man. Like, I mean, you're saying I've seen your team. Okay, so if we're using our team or our league, you're not competing now.
No.
And you're probably not competing next year.
Wow, that's hurtful.
You're probably not. I mean, it's not like meant to be disrespectful. It's just like
it is. It is disrespectful.
I mean, like, hell, dude. Look at my team. I almost dropped the F-bomb. Look at my team. Like, it's not great, but like, I'm also like somehow getting wins. And
I got injuries right now, and
I haven't had Rashad Bateman all year.
Yeah, that's a rookie though. I'm talking about Deshaun Watson's not playing, Gronk's not playing, Jerry Jeudy's not playing for me. Curtis Samuel, that's not really. I mean, I thought he'd be a flex play.
Deshaun Watson was never a good decision. I told you not to do that one.
No. This was before he got hurt. This is a good trade.
Before he got You're right.
Before the legal stuff.
You're right.
I got offered this trade in our league. That's why I was telling you all these specifics.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I really wouldn't, because you're probably going to have a top 3 pick in 24, unless your team just drastically becomes elite in 2 years. And I don't think that's the case. You don't even have any draft capital next year, dude.
No, I don't. I got a lot 2023.
You want to trade your future draft capital on a team that's not looking great.
Ayuk is young. He had a stud rookie year. I don't know. This is hard, bro. Do I believe in the bounce back?
I think if you have a top 5 pick, let's look at the top 5 picks this year. Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Jamar
Wow.
Chase, Kyle Pitts, and who's Javonte.
Javonte.
You wouldn't rather take all 5 of those guys over Brandon Ayuk?
I wouldn't take ETN. You know I was off ETN from the start.
Well, okay. Okay, so remove ETN and throw in, I guess, maybe Devontae or whoever. Yeah. See, that's kind of like the cusp.
I'd rather Ayuk over Deontay, dude. I really do. I think we've seen Devontae's ceiling here.
I don't disagree there. So that's not necessarily a great example, but I was using like mock drafts.
I got you. I mean, there's strong and there's weak classes. We don't really know about the 2024 class, but yeah.
I just don't think he's worth that.
All right, let's move on. We've talked about this way too long.
No, Brandon Ayuk's a good one, man. He's a very like highly discussed player, so I think it's good that we kind of discuss.
I was thinking about offering 2 seconds instead for him, but I was thinking about like if I'm actually like still bottom 3 in this league after like 3 years, then I'd rather 2 early seconds than an early first. I don't know actually.
It's tough, man. Like if I'm a rebuilding team, I'm not trading draft capital. That's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless it definitely makes me competitive, and Brandon Ayuk doesn't definitely make you competitive. It hopefully makes you competitive.
If he hits the way he was hitting last year,
if it's not a definite though, it's not a player that's consistently done it. You've got 1 year and then 6 straight weeks of nothing, so it's like. But I'm right there. I like him. It's just not worth the 24 first, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to the next name though. I got here Laviska Shenault.
Dude, I don't know, man. I was actually super high on him, and
same.
Chark out. I thought that was going to do it. So he had a 68-yard catch against my Titans. Looked really good on that one play. I actually watched the London game, and he didn't do a whole lot. It's just like I think he had 4 catches or something, but nothing drastic. It was
nothing great.
Yeah, and it's just like. I think he's skilled. I don't know if it's a lack of separation. I don't know what it is, but Jacksonville's not getting him the ball. And maybe it's because they know that what they have with Robinson and they know that works. So it's like, well, if that's our best chance of winning, then let's utilize Robinson. And you know how I feel about Robinson. Or I think you know that I've kind of pivoted on that one. That one took a while, but I actually have come around on Robinson. He looks really good. So
welcome to the party.
Yeah. I still don't think you made a bad trade though, but I've definitely come around on him.
It's not the right way to think about it, but like if I kept James Robinson, my record would be like 4-2 right now.
Hindsight's always 20/20. It doesn't mean that. So here's something I describe frequently, and I stand by this, and I think it's a very wise approach. So it's like when I made a viral tweet, you know about this tweet. I said the Giants really took these receivers over Kadarius Toney. I listed Diami Brown, Terrace Marshall, who was it? Rashad Bateman, and then 2 other guys, Rondell Moore and somebody else. Okay. Now, when we made that decision, or when I made that tweet, every bit of information and data suggests that it was correct, right? It was a knowledgeable and information-founded decision. Stand by it. I still think it was a smart decision. However, that doesn't mean that it's going to be correct 8 weeks later. With the information that was given, it was a smart, intelligent decision. Hindsight's always 20/20. I think when the Robinson decision was made, your trade, it made a lot of sense. Now we see what Robinson's doing. Doesn't make it a bad trade. Just makes it suck a little bit more. And that's the way I kind of look at the Derrick Henry trade a couple of years ago, where I traded.
Yeah. I also look at it
first.
I look at it too as like over trading, which can be bad if you're a team, right? Just because something's of value doesn't mean you should take it. Like it was a good trade, but because I traded that piece away, like I lost out on like a really starting good running back. So it made it.
What do you mean? Oh,
like I can't compete this year, but if I kept that player, I could have competed.
Okay.
Like I'm over trading.
I don't think so at all. I think 9 out of 10 people would have made that trade. And the 10th probably isn't very good at fantasy football. That's what I think.
Right.
I mean, you can't just that's like saying I shouldn't have taken. I don't know who's been like that's like saying I should have taken Here we go. James Robinson over Alvin Kamara this year. Like, no, that's not smart. That is not a good decision. Just because it looks like a good decision 7 weeks later doesn't mean that it was a smart decision. You made the right decision.
I appreciate that. So Chenault, though, let's get back to Chenault, right? We all believed in him this year. New quarterback, generational talent, hyped up, and for me, I don't know. I'm questioning Urban Meyer. Everyone questions Urban Meyer, and we all want to say, sorry. We all want to say, yeah, Urban's going to be out by the end of the year. But, like, that's what we said about Adam Gase for years, and he kept his job for way too long. So, I don't know. Do you think Chenault is a buy?
No. And I would love to sell him, but I'm not going to get the value that I would want. So, I just got to hold. That's just how I feel. I thought Laviska would be better than what he was or what he is. And I do think he's talented, but it doesn't matter if you're not. It's like the Brandon Ayuk or like Trace Sermon. It doesn't matter what I think if the NFL's coaches and giving them the opportunities. So I like Laviska. I'm dropping him in redraft.
What are you taking for him in Dynasty? Someone gives you an offer.
I want a first, but I'm not. Maybe 2 seconds. I'd maybe do 2 seconds.
Okay, I think so. I drafted in that league, and I think that's not really far off from everybody else. I got him in the third, but I think he was like a mid-second grade for me and for most people. So you wouldn't just try to get return value of like mid-second, early second. So
that's called sunk costs, and I don't care about sunk costs. Nobody should care about sunk costs. Just because you paid X value doesn't mean that doesn't determine the player's current value. A lot of people make that mistake. Well, I paid 3 firsts for Saquon Barkley, so I'm not trading anything less. Well, if you get 2 seconds for Saquon now, that's a great deal, whether you paid 3 or not,
Okay.
That's personal opinion. So, like, sunk costs, you shouldn't worry about those. Just not a logical approach.
Okay. I got you. All right, so you ready to roll on to the next one I got for you?
Yep. I got a few, too, so once we finish up with yours.
Okay, this is my last one.
Okay.
My last one is Chase Claypool. Again,
I have him as well.
Okay. I thought you would have had Chenault actually too. But
no.
So Chase Claypool, came in. I wasn't as hyped. You were pretty strong on him. I wasn't about it because I'm not about Big Ben. Turned out to be right on that. And now their quarterback situation is up in the air. We don't know who the quarterback of the future is. This draft class is not exactly shining for quarterbacks. So, what do you think about is Chase Claypool a buy or a sell for you?
He's a buy for me. So he looks, I don't want to say bad, but he doesn't look good. He's dropping balls, but Big Ben's also not putting balls on the money. He's not getting great throws. Big Ben actually looked a little bit better this week. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they were talking about his hip being bad or something on Sunday Night Football. So maybe there's some underlying injury still affecting that. But Chase Claypool, I still have a lot of faith in him. And, yeah, so here's the thing, man. You made the list earlier. Who are the free agent quarterbacks for next year?
Man. Let me pull it up.
I know Jameis Winston's on there, and I've talked about that for a long time. I think Jameis Winston to the Steelers would be an absolute dream. I mean, think about it. Big Ben is that type of quarterback where he was the type of quarterback that would air the ball out. There's going to be games where he has 5 touchdowns. There's going to be games where he has 4 interceptions. Who else has a history of doing that? Jameis Winston. He did that with the Bucs. So, I mean, you give Jameis Winston, Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. Juju's not going to be back, but who's that? Who's their third? Ray McLeod. That guy's got wheels too.
Deontay, Juju, and
Ray. I like that receiving core, and I really think that there's a good chance that the Steelers decide they're going to pay up for Jameis or somebody who's a decent quarterback because they're not getting anybody in the draft. Like you said, it's just a mediocre class. Their draft capital is not going to be good enough. So I definitely could see them grabbing Jameis Winston, and I would love to see Jameis Winston airing the ball out and Chase Claypool catching balls downfield. And I think the probability is, I don't want to say likely, but I think it's somewhat likely. And so that makes Chase Claypool an easy buy for me. I don't think Big Ben's the quarterback there next year.
I don't either. The free agency quarterbacks are Teddy B, Fitzpatrick, Jameis, and Tyrod Taylor. I mean, not a stud group there,
So I mean,
and then There's the tradable QBs, like the QBs I expect to be traded. Everyone expects to be traded by then, and that's Deshaun Watson and Aaron Jones.
You said Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I said Aaron Jones. I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers.
I was like, wait a second. So, imagine Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers isn't going to go to a team that's not competitive.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers or Jameis Winston in that situation now, like, obviously, like, that's the best case scenario, but you're not going to downgrade from Big Ben, right? Like, you're a team who's a quarterback away from a Super Bowl. Maybe a couple offensive linemen, but you can use that. You can use draft capital on that. You sign a big name quarterback, get you a couple offensive linemen. That team's competitive now. They're young on defense and they're talented, so that makes Chase Claypool an easy buy for me.
Yeah, and I might not be super high on the quarterback class this year. There's 5 names. Well, there's 4, but one that I'm fading because of recency bias. So that's different. But there's 5 names in this draft that people are keeping an eye on. And I've looked at mock drafts already, and I've done my own research too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the quarterback's going the first 5 picks. I think there's some really good defenders out there that it's going to warrant teams to pass on these quarterbacks. So I actually do think there's going to be quarterbacks taken in the mid-first. And then, like, the first quarterback might be off the board around, like, pick 6, pick 7, pick 8, around there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because that's such an integral part of a team. And there's so many teams that are – Steelers are going to be a team that's definitely quarterback needy. I don't know that the Packers want to roll with Jordan Love. So, hell, Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. It's just we'll have to wait and see on all that one. But are you ready for the next guy? Was that your last one?
Well, yeah, that was my last one. But just for Chase Claypool, I'm not going to buy him. I just don't believe him like that. If I owned him, if someone came from me at like a mid first, I'm taking it. Back in first, I'm being very hesitant about it. So,
yeah, I think mid's fair. That's probably what I'd be looking for as well.
Yeah, he's an alpha. He's a proven alpha. There's not a lot of proven alphas in my opinion out there.
Yep.
So I think there's room to grow. I'm just not exactly excited about his near future.
Yeah, I really think he's going to bounce back because, he's still getting targets. He's dropping some balls right now, and I don't think, we talk about it a lot in the fantasy community. Drops aren't consistent. They're not sticky. It's not a stat that you expect to stick, so I expect that to improve. And he's dropped some deep balls that would be 4 points for the yards, 1 for the catch, so I think he's going to have some big games this year for sure. Next guy that I'd like to talk about, one of my favorite players in the league, and a Titan, A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown he just had a mediocre game, but he's still not getting a full workload. His snap share was at 71% this last game. Granted, he was ill, but it's interesting. He actually he was talking to the media in a press conference, right? And during this press conference, he actually says verbatim, I want to play 100% of snaps. I'm not there yet. They won't let me. Meaning the Titans aren't going to let him until later in the season, which he specifies. And I think it was Diana Rossi actually. Not Diana Rossi. That's a basketball player, right? Diane Rossini or something like that.
Yeah.
Newscaster, reporter. She actually said it would be around week 10, which is something we've been talking about if you follow the Titans. So they're trying to preserve him. It's a long season. He had surgery on both of his knees last year. A.J. Brown has had 2 1,000-yard seasons back-to-back, first and second year. So if you're fading him over – he's only played 4 games this year. A lot of people are fading him over 3. It's just silly. And, Tannehill hasn't looked great, but he did look better last week. And I think Todd Downing's starting to figure things out. He's the Titans offensive coordinator. So he's going to bounce back. And at the end of the year, I really believe he's going to be a league winner. So that's one of my biggest buy lows, dynasty buys, period. I'd pay – what would you pay for him? 2 first?
No, I don't, because I'm really concerned about Ryan Tannehill's play too, and that's his quarterback for the future. So, I would still pay a first for him, but I don't know about 2 firsts anymore. It depends on where I'm at.
First and a second.
First and a second, yeah, I think I do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I would give 2 firsts for him. I think a lot of people are still overreacting. Again, we've only seen 4 games with Tannehill, and so Tannehill got so much flack. He's been without A.J. Brown and Julio for 3 games this year. That's not good. Offensive line's been atrocious. Finally, they're improving. It's a new system. It's not the same offense they ran. So I think it takes time to mesh. Patience is going to be key there. And dude's in year 3. I'm definitely giving 2 firsts for him. I feel good about that. I'm not giving 2 early first, but 2 mids, 2 late, absolutely.
He's going to stay the number 1 there for years to come, too. I mean, Julio's not going to be there for forever, and they're not. I personally think they should focus on their defense in the drafts, so I don't think they're going to spend any serious draft capital on some new alpha. I don't really see that happening at all.
Offensive line and defense is how we're going to be. I don't know how long we think Derrick Henry's going to go. He's a baffling.
They might take a shot on a wide receiver in the 3rd,
Maybe.
Number 2, number 3.
Next one, DK Metcalf. He's been playing pretty well, but with Geno out, I expect that he's going to drop in value. Sorry, with Geno in and Russell out, I think DK is going to drop in value. Anybody who makes a poor decision, I feel like that's like a laughable thing, but it's real. People are going to start fading him the next few weeks whenever he's not performing with Geno Smith. It's a great opportunity to buy low, and I 100% would do so with anybody who's willing to do that. Excuse me. That's it for receivers, but there are a few other guys I'd like to touch on. Running back Javonte Williams. I think there isn't a better dynasty buy than Javonte Williams. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I don't think this year's going to be the year. I mean, if you look at like Melvin Gordon's numbers, they're so similar. There's no reason for Melvin Gordon not to get 50% of the workload. He's a proven vet, and he's still producing probably the exact same as Javonte did. It looked pretty identical on the field for me. But yeah, come next year, it's going to be his show. And right now, I'm looking to flip those like injury-prone players that we've talked about, or those players in situations I'm not confident about. And I'm looking to flip them for like Javonte plus maybe. I'm going to give you an example. I've recently not been as high on Antonio Gibson. Not because of this injury, the dude's a beast. It's just that I think we've seen his ceiling because they have these other players involved in the passing game. I think he's averaging like 2 targets a game, which is disappointing. And if they're not going to give it to him like this year, I don't know if they're ever going to give him the targets. So I would look to flip it for like Javonte plus a first.
So you'd trade Gibson for Javonte and a first? I don't think you're getting that. From a logical owner, you're not getting that because most logical dynasty owners know what Javonte is going to be or what they expect him to be. I really think he's a year away from being a dynasty top 5 back. I really believe that. And it's funny. I think it was Kyle Yates had that tweet that said it wasn't anything more frustrating than Javonte Williams splitting the workload with Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon saw it, put him on blast. Said he didn't think there's anything more.
He did the weakest walk back ever.
Yeah, basically said it was stupid, and I kind of agree. I mean, Melvin looks good. He's an all-pro running back. Like, it's kind of asinine to expect Javonte to come in and take an all-pro running back's job in year 1, and Melvin looks good. But, I mean, the beautiful thing about it is Javonte is being trusted with the exact same role Melvin is, and he's in year 1. When he gets a full workload and starts to understand defenses and schemes, it's going to be filthy. Like, I really need to put more trades in for him. It's tough, though, because I don't expect him to produce this year. So if I have a competing team, it's hard to buy low because I'm going to have to trade a valuable asset. But for any rebuilding team, definitely trying to acquire.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Khalil Herbert's kind of an obvious dynasty buy, but he's looked really good. I don't really have a whole lot to say other than he just looked really good. So, I mean, the thing is, it's Montgomery's backfield, but if you can get him cheap and you have the roster depth to stash him, I don't see why you're not. I mean, what would you pay for Khalil Herbert in Dynasty? That's a tough question.
A third?
Yeah, no doubt. But would you pay a second?
Nope.
You wouldn't. I mean, he just had 80-something rushing yards, a touchdown on 14 carries. That's solid.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look it up.
The last available option out there. I mean, Damian Williams comes back. I assume they split that workload. The first week that they played together without Monty, Damian played until they were up, and when they were up, they gave the ball to Herbert. They were back down again, and Damian came back onto the field. Now, I do think I do think Herbert's proven himself to be a reliable number 2. So I don't know. Moving forward, he'll be the number 2, but like next year, I think when Damian Williams leaves, I think he's on a 1-year contract. I think Khalil Herbert is going to slide into the number 2 role, and that's just going to be his spot. So he's really just a handcuff, and I don't really want to pay an excessive price for a handcuff.
Right, and he is a handcuff. So I guess that's really what. I guess that's why I brought it up, really, because I mean we see I believe the talent. Like I mean, he looks good. I mean, Las Vegas doesn't have a terrible run D. Green Bay's is not great, but I mean, 75 yards on 18 touches against Vegas, and 19 touches for 97 yards against Green Bay. I mean, that's 5 yards a carry right there.
Yeah, but then his future matchup. So, like, let's say he does take the rollover from Damian Williams the next 3 games. It's Tampa Bay, San Francisco, and Pittsburgh.
Right. I mean, we're not talking about redraft. Like this is a clear future investment because he's not taking the job from David Montgomery.
But his clear value is in those 3 games. I don't know how David Montgomery is going to get hurt the next year or something like that. But I know he's going to have these carries the next 3 games.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel. I don't think I'm willing to pay a second either, and not because of skill, but because he's stuck there, and he's not going to start over David Montgomery. David Montgomery is really good. Excuse me. So yeah, I guess price tag's a third, but if you can get him for a third, why not in Dynasty? I mean, you got to have the roster depth because he's not going to be starting outside of these next 3 weeks. So that's a tough one, though.
If I'm the Monty manager, though, I think I would pay the second.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a contender and I know it's going to be a late second, then I would pay the late second. That's fine. Like a late second this last class was very unenthusiastic, very unexciting. I wasn't excited about the late seconds this year, so I think I would be fine paying a late second for him.
Especially in Dynasty. It's interesting. I actually just traded. So I traded David Montgomery for A.J. Brown straight up in week 2. Now, David Montgomery was my RB4. DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry. Didn't need him. Needed a receiver. Made sense. He gets hurt. I picked up Khalil Herbert. A lot of people went after Damian. I was like, let's just grab Khalil. So Khalil has a big game, and my quarterback is Tannehill. I'm like, tired of Tannehill. Let's upgrade. Well, dude had Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, so I gave him Khalil Herbert and T. Higgins, who I like, but not much use on my team for Justin Herbert. So I did exactly what you're talking about. Gave David Montgomery's owner Khalil Herbert. Worked out. So, yeah, that's probably the ideal trade situation, by the way. So you need to find the David Montgomery owner, and he's going to see that 17-point game, half PPR, and he's going to say, well, that's not even half PPR. That's just non-PPR. So, I mean, he scored more in PPR and half PPR. Definitely try and trade him, or if you're a David Montgomery owner, definitely try and acquire. I'll keep this one relatively quick. Dawson Knox has looked really good. Was looking solid against my Titans. Just broke his thumb. If he misses any time, anybody's changing a dynasty value because of that, that's a good buy. And then this is another guy who oh, that's weird. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're on audio.
All right, give me just a second.
Yeah, I'll talk about Dawson Knox for a bit. He's been pretty on fire lately. I mean, his last couple targets were 3, 4, 8, and 5. And all those times he's on the field for more than 78% of snaps. I'm not really sure how confident I am in Dawson Knox. He for sure is in that threshold of tight ends that you want. He had really cake matchups those 3 weeks in a row that he went off, though. But, yeah, dude, I don't know. And my philosophy is not to draft tight ends. I want to trade for tight ends. I don't want to draft them. I'll pick them up on the waiver wire. I don't want to wait the 3 years to find out if they're good or not. And Dawson Knox is on his 3rd year right now. So
I kind of like that. I did a similar strategy with. I know to me it's a huge. It's not just to me. It is a huge positional advantage to have a top tight end. So I stashed 6 this year in my rebuild. And Dalton Schultz, the guy that I'm about to talk about next, is one of those guys that's paid it out really nice. So let's just get right into Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz has played now 10 games with Dak in the last 2 years, okay? In those 10 games, he's averaged just over 10 points per game. That's really good. In the last 2 years, the only tight ends that have averaged more points per game than Dalton Schultz with Dak is Kittle, Waller, and Kelsey. End of list. That's elite. We're talking about a 9-game sample now. 10-game sample, right? 6 games this year? Yeah. 10-game sample. That's significant. That's not something you ignore, and he's not getting a lot of respect still. So that's a guy that I'm definitely trying to acquire, and I think you're going to get him for below value. I don't think people are recognizing that he's actually doing this well. So I keep saying this. I keep debating. I actually have him in several leagues because I got him very cheap, but I think I probably need to acquire him in more leagues. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll give you a 2024 first form right now on air.
2020. That's tough. You tried to pull us last time, and then you backtracked.
I wish I took that one too. The more I think about it.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just throw that one in too. Let's throw that in. I'll give you. I'll add Will Fuller.
We're out on that one. I'm over Will Fuller now.
Man.
Yeah, we'll talk about that though. That's
Okay.
something I could be interested in.
Okay. Yeah, he's killing it this year though. His last targets are 6, 8, 8, and 7, and that's very good for the tight end position.
How many points did he have this week?
12.9, and that's against the Patriots, who are considered to have a pretty stout defense. I mean, they got kind of rolled. I'm still mad about that game, bro. I'm still mad about the Patriots game. I'm mad about that no call on the face mask. I just whatever. But Dallas looked like the better team, so I guess that's fine. But I don't want to get into it. Sorry, I don't want to talk about it.
Dallas looks good, man.
They do.
So that was the last buy that I want to discuss. I really think that if I make a quick highlight off the list we discussed, I think A.J. Brown, Javonte Williams, and Dalton Schultz are your best buys. You want to give your best quick buys just the way I did off the top of your head?
No, I would agree with you. Dalton Schultz has got to be on there, but that's a tough one for me. I mean, Ayuk is the young stud that's like proven himself.
Yep.
A lot of these cases are just like you have to believe in these guys. Like that's why I'm bringing them up to like dynasty buys. So everyone wants, go buy yourself Jonathan Taylor. Like, yeah, no, duh. I would buy Jonathan Taylor if I could in every league, like obviously. But these are the guys that are actually currently affordable. It just depends on you calling your shot.
Yeah, I would agree.
But I think everyone can call their shot on Dalton Schultz. I mean, that's an elite tight end.
They're not, though. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people aren't. I've discussed it, and it's like...
Yeah, and Kittle's like, I don't know what's wrong with Kittle, but Kittle's not it lately. I don't know. It's not it. He's not it. Yeah.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
So...
What he's doing. Real quick, let's go through some free agent targets. Does that go with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
So we got a ton of buys this week. I know the Chargers, Vikings. Do you know any others off the top of your head?
No, I popped open a list and then like
So yeah, I mean I've got.
It's Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's Buffalo, the Vikings, Chargers, Pittsburgh, Cowboys, and the Jaguars.
5 of those teams are elite fantasy producers. I mean,
and James Robinson.
And James Robinson. Yep. And James Robinson. I like that. So yeah, I mean, you're going to be hurting this week, but the beautiful thing is, most likely your opponent's going to be hurting as well. So we're trying to help you prepare for this week 7. That's going to be a little bit rough, and then also some buys for the rest of the season or some free agent targets. First and foremost, I was baffled today when a guy asked me. Someone slid into my DMs, and he said, "Should I drop and insert mediocre player A for Michael Thomas?" I'm like, why is Michael Thomas a free agent? First off, like, this guy is 2 years removed from being a top wide receiver, period. Now, he may not be that anymore. He may not, because I think he's more dramatic than the Kardashians. And I don't know if he's going to play. But without a doubt, there's absolutely no reason for him to be a free agent. And if he is a free agent in your league, I'm spending at least 50% of my fab. If it's a fab, he's waiver wire priority number 1. And you got to realize there is nobody to throw the ball to. Like Marquez Callaway is not an elite receiver. He's a mediocre receiver in an elite situation, and he's not doing great. Michael Thomas, if he plays, is going to gobble targets. And, you got to go after Michael Thomas 100% if he's available.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this. This came out yesterday, though. They're saying that he's still a couple weeks away from returning.
Perfect time to grab him if he's available.
The current target is week 9, they said. Unlikely to be activated until week 9. That's the last report. And I believe fantasy playoffs is like week 14. So you're still going to get like 5 games out of him.
Yeah. He is baffling from a character standpoint and some of his antics. But, I mean, if he's a free agent, you got to figure out a way to get him on your team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. Next guy on my list, a guy that I actually pretty excited. I deemed this guy a league winner, a potential league winner, rookie, and it's one of the few that actually is looking pretty good. Now he's kind of dependent on injury, which is part of the reason I deemed him a league winner. Ramondre Stevenson, Mike's boys RB. I don't know how high you are on Ramondre. I've been high on him for a while. I think he's a good back. I think he's got the size to sustain a 3-down, size to be a 3-down back, and he's got some things he needs to clean up. I saw a missed block this past week, but he did look like a playmaker too. He got 3 catches. I think he had 39 yards. Damian Harris is not a pass-catching back, which is kind of one of his flaws. And he actually looked good on the ground this week too, but he struggles to stay healthy. He's fighting. Do you know what his injury is right now?
No, I'm just upset overall at all of them right now and their performances.
Well, don't worry, I'll cover it. Damian Harris has been battling some lingering injury. I can't remember what it is. So that led to Ramondre getting 13 touches last week, and let's see how many he got this week. Bear with me. I actually started him in one league, so that I was really hurting him.
Yeah. So Damian Harris, so both these players for me, going into this week, they're averaging 3.7 yards per carry. That's Damian Harris, and then 2.1 yards per carry, and that's Ramondre. Not that I don't think he's going to get a bigger role in the offense. I just don't want him for this committee. It's always going to be a committee. I think he's a sell, not a buy. So I'm kind of still sticking to that. I know they lose James White in the offseason, but I could just totally see them just adding somebody too.
So you're a Patriots fan, and you know him better than I do, but I'm actually inclined to disagree. I think Damian Harris just isn't playing a full game because he's not a pass-catching back. I think he is the best back there, or was. I think Ramondre is very good. I don't want to say better than Damian Harris because that's bold, but he had five carries for 23 yards, so that average you were talking about, much better this week, 4.1.
Absolutely.
And then 3 catches on 3 targets for 39. And he got a goal line carry and had a touchdown. So, I mean, you got a guy who's big enough to be a goal line back. He's also athletic enough to be a pass catching back. He weighs, 230? Why can he not be a first and second down back? Especially if Damian can't stay healthy.
And they both fumble the ball. I mean, Damian Harris has had fumbling issues like every single game.
But here's the thing: Ramondre only fumbled that one, and it was an illegal. It was an illegal hit. And no, sorry, that's Trey I'm thinking of. But Ramondre was down. I think the reason he didn't play is because even though he knew he was down, he didn't go after the ball. So they didn't overturn it, and he didn't continue to play. So the coach was like, "Okay, I don't care what you thought. This is what was ruled, and you didn't make a play, so you're done. Like you can't play like that in the NFL." And Belichick's not a forgiving guy, but the fact that a rookie running back's getting touches, that says a lot. So I got faith in Ramondre. I think I don't know that he's going to be what I deemed a league winner this year unless Damian Harris goes down, but I really liked what I saw out of Ramondre this week, and it looks like they have more faith in him. There was only one play that I thought he looked bad, and it was a missed block. And that's another way to end up in the doghouse for Belichick, though. So that's a wait and see, but definitely a guy that I'm targeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to roll into the next one if you don't mind.
Sure.
Dearness Johnson, I think this is kind of the obvious one here.
Yep.
So Chubb is hurt. He's already ruled out for this week's game. I think it's a Thursday night game. And Hunt just went on to the IR. Dearness Johnson had one game last year where he went for 100 yards, and then he disappeared off the face of the earth. It's not that I think Dearness is a great talent. This is going to be one of those volume plays where I'm playing because I think he's going to get 15 opportunities in the game, maybe 15 to 20 opportunities. And I think he's a pretty good, if you need to fill in for running back, 17th round bye, I think he's worth it.
Right there with you. I've got him on my list as well. I don't think Dearness deserves much more than hey, go acquire him for a couple of weeks. So we'll move on to the next guy, who I also think makes that list of just a little bit of value for a couple of weeks. Rashad Penny coming off of IR. Alex Collins sustained an injury, and but Chris Collins has been injured. So
Chris
Collins, I'm sorry. Thank you. Chris Carson has been injured, so Rashad Penny is another bye-week replacement guy. Do you have anything you'd like to add there?
Travis Homer's there, too. If you want to try to take a gamble on that, that's another option.
Yeah. He had a decent little game, some catches, but nothing crazy.
Right.
Khalil Herbert, who we've already talked about, definitely. I think he's a better.
Talk about. My dog just turned off my light, dude. Okay, anyway. My next one I want to talk about is Sterling Shepard. He's probably on most waiver wires, especially in your home leagues. That's for sure, not your dynasty rosters, but your home leagues, he's available. He's a volume guy, and there's nobody else healthy there. So again, he's a target hog. So what he did the first 2 weeks, where there's nobody else to pass to, I expect that to happen this week as well. And I think he's a smash play for me. That's for sure. I think he can get like 9 catches for like 80 yards, and then maybe he falls in the end zone.
Yep, I wouldn't disagree. I'm not huge on him, but I mean, if there's no one else to throw to in that offense where they're throwing, go ahead. Looks like you want to turn your light on. Go ahead if you need to. I can hold it down.
Okay.
So, I mean, another guy we have already discussed briefly that I think actually fits better on this list is Khalil Herbert. We were talking about those 3 games that we're looking at while Damian Williams and David Montgomery are out. Khalil Herbert looked good. He's got a chance to be a 3-week starting running back, so that's a guy you want to add. Another guy probably worth mentioning would be Cole Kmet, who I've been sitting on in Dynasty for a couple of years now. Well, I guess a year or two. Wait, is Cole Kmet in his 3rd year, or is this his 2nd?
2nd year.
Okay. Yeah, him and Adam Troutman, same year. Yeah. So, yeah, Cole Kmet, looks like him and Justin Fields actually have a little bit of chemistry. So that's kind of exciting if you've been holding Kmet. He had a decent week. Definitely worth a stash. Might be a solid bye-week replacement if you have Freiermuth or, let's see, who we got? Not Gerald Everett. Yeah, Seattle's on bye, right?
No.
Doesn't matter. If you need a tight end, Cole Kmet's a good guy. Anything you want to add on Kmet?
No. Another tight end, though, for me is Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Not a big name being talked about right now, but the last 3 weeks, I think he's tight end 9. His last 3 weeks are 13.2, 19.5, and 10.5.
Agreed.
So I think that's a tight end to own for New England. I know they pass around the ball pretty evenly, but as far as tight ends go, he's the one that's actually producing, not Jonnu Smith. And I think you just got to ride the hot hand there if you really need one.
Yep. I would not disagree. At the beginning of the season, I would have said Jonnu, but I think it's Hunter. Last guy that I have on my free agent target list is Pat Freiermuth, which is going to be tough to add him because Steelers are on bye, and you're probably going to be trying to replace some guys. But with Juju out, Pat Freiermuth's got some more targets. He's a rookie, and he's already producing. I think that's a solid sign. So that's a guy that I'm probably trying to free up in Dynasty specifically. I'm definitely trying to add Freiermuth.
Yeah, and just in case you guys are these options aren't available for you in your league, my thought process to look at the over/under for this week and then just see who's available from those teams. There should be a shootout. If you're just chasing the touchdown option, I think that's the best way to go. there's always like just for example, like the Ravens, all three of the running backs got in the end zone. No one's going to predict that. But if you saw the over/under for that game, it was pretty high. So you just could have like taken your shot, and it might have worked out that way.
Saw an interesting tweet just now. Since week 3, Emmanuel Sanders is wide receiver 8. It's kind of wild.
It was
still
good.
A free agent target, I guess.
Yeah,
add that one to the list. That's all I got, Mike. And we are right at an hour. We surprisingly are on time for once.
That's it for me. I really wish that the Patriots would let Mac Jones throw. I'm tired of seeing him go 8 for 9 at the half. I'm tired of him seeing him going 12 for 13 at the third quarter, and then they want to run some plays in the fourth quarter all of a sudden. They just want to run it up the middle leg twice, let Mac throw a short ball. I am so done with that, dude. They just get more creative play calling. You see how the Texans handle us? That's the play calling that we used to do. And now we're like, yeah, we'll do a short throw. We'll do 2 runs.
Yep.
We might fumble the ball, like whatever.
I don't know if you saw my tweets during the game, but actually, I think I had a bet on your boys. Who'd y'all play? Y'all played the Cowboys.
We did.
I didn't. Sorry, I bet on the other team. But no disrespect. I like money. But, yeah, dude, that Mac Jones pass to Kendrick Bourne, that's what it was. First off, I was playing against Kendrick Bourne. He had 1 damn catch. I was going to beat the guy. But nonetheless, Mac Jones, they unleashed him in the fourth quarter when it was too late. Why not let this guy throw? The ball was a perfect dime. Like seriously, it could not have been any better. And that's the throws Mac Jones was making in college. He looks good.
I think it's just
go ahead.
Sorry, it's just game script. Like they want to control the game flow. They want to slow it down. They want to put it on their terms. And it's like we can't. Our defense is not as good as we thought. I'm with you, bro. The offense looks like it can actually be more electric than it is, and the play calling is what's holding them back, or they still got the training wheels on Mac Jones.
Yeah,
I just want them to take off one training wheel. Just take off one training wheel.
Well, I mean, just maybe let them throw 2-3 deep balls a game. And that's the thing. Like, if the defense doesn't have to respect the deep ball, all they're going to do is funnel in. Like, they're going to play shallow depth. I mean, and that's what you've been seeing defenses do, and it's working. Let Mac throw some deep balls.
Yeah. Let the Mac attack.
Let the Mac attack. I like it. All right, guys. Well, I think this is going to do it for this episode. Mike, what are you discussing this Friday?
Yeah, let me talk about this Friday's episode. So I tweeted out just notable free agents and team needs, like NFL team needs. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about our prospects that have gone over the last 4 weeks. And I'm going to go ahead and put some molds to them, just like, for example, talking about like Steelers, they need a quarterback, and tell you what quarterbacks are available for them to take, stuff like that. So just kind of like get our mindset for who needs an alpha wide receiver, who needs that slot man / wide receiver 3, who needs a quarterback, who needs a running back. There's some really juicy landing spots out there to get excited about. And that's just really it.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see you Friday then. And we'll be back next Tuesday at 9 p.m. for the NFL side and with the fantasy focus. So we will see you guys then.
All right. Have a good night.